RareX was set up as a rare earth company in the middle of late last year. We bought in an asset, a very compelling strategic rare earth asset in the Cummins Range asset. We're planning to develop that and get out there and explore it this year. But in the meantime, we've done a very exciting joint venture with a company, King Korra Copper, who are very well credentialed copper gold explorers. Having spent the last 10 years in Mongolia looking for porphyries, they've decided to apply their skill sets to the Lachlan Fold Belt, and we're 35% free carried and a 10% equity holder in King Korra in some very exciting drilling that's going on at the moment. So you get two bites of the cherry with us. You get the rare earths business, and you get some very exciting copper gold exploration in one of the world's best porphyry addresses. Look, the reason we went out to joint venture those projects is we were focused on being a rare earth company. They were legacy assets, but we realised they had very strong potential and a lot of value to us if we could put them into the right hands. We went out looking for a very competent team for a joint venture partner. We were approached by a lot of the majors to come in on some hefty joint venture spends, but we chose to go with King Korra because we knew we'd get exceptional news flow out of them, and we also got some very competent people running the company, led by a chap by the name of John Holliday, who was the principal discoverer of the Cadia deposit in New South Wales, which is the deposit that everyone's looking for in that region, and that's the primary reason we went for them. And also the terms of the deal as well. A 35% free carry is extremely attractive to us. We don't have to put our hands in our pocket, shareholders' funds, if you will, and we get all the exciting news flow of the drill program as well. Yeah, so as we announced to the market about 2 weeks ago, we finished the first hole at Trundle Park with some very exciting mineralisation in it. We hit a porphyry at depth with copper in it. So yeah, we're waiting for assays on that, and they should be in sometime this month. In the meantime, we went up north to Mordialloc, which is about 12 kilometres up to the north in the same intrusive complex. We've just completed that hole. The team's gone out to have a look at it today, so hopefully we'll hear some news about that in the coming weeks. In the meantime, they've moved on to another target in the north called Bailey's, which is essentially part of Mordialloc, but we call it Bailey's, and once they finish that, they'll move back to Trundle Park and do a second hole into that one. Yeah, look, Orange East is a very exciting gold project for us. Recently returned to us from Alkane when they got onto the Boda discovery. They decided to focus their attention there and return the project to us 100%. So we just got all the data back and we're interrogating it at the moment. We made a release about a week ago about the prospectivity of that tenement. It sits in the same package of rocks as McPhillamys does, which is a 2 million ounce gold deposit owned by Regis Resources just to the south. So it sits in the same package of rocks, it has the same geochemical signature and the same radiometric signature. So basically a dead ringer for McPhillamys and never been drilled. At the moment we're working with the landholders to get access to the ground, and hopefully we can get on the ground this year and drill some exciting holes into that, which will be cheap RC drilling for us. So either we go it alone, but of course, given the prospectivity of the ground, we've got lots of calls coming into us for joint venture proposals, but at this stage we plan to go it alone. Rare earths is an obscure part of the mining market. It's been dominated by China over the last 20, 30 years. You've had Lynas enter the market over the last 5 to 10 years. But historically it's been dominated by the elements lanthanum and cerium, but increasingly as we move into the EV revolution, the green revolution, it's more about neodymium, praseodymium, which are collectively known as NdPr. So they're the metals that are used in rare earth permanent magnets. They're the metals used in every EV. There's about 1 to 2 kilos at each motor that drives the wheel is a rare earth permanent magnet motor. Also used extensively in wind turbines to produce green, clean energy for the world. So in terms of the size of the market, the whole rare earth oxide market is about 170,000 tonnes per annum. But the most important part of that market and the value driving part of that market is NdPr, which is about 35,000 tonnes per annum. And most analysts are expecting that market to grow very strongly over this decade to approximately 60,000 tonnes of NdPr required per annum by 2030. Yeah, look, it certainly is big enough at the current size. Last year we put out a JORC 2012 resource of 13 million tonnes at 1.13% TREO, and contained within that rare earth oxide is about 22% NdPr, which is the neodymium praseodymium content, which I mentioned before, which is critical in the rare earth permanent magnet business. The resource size itself sits comfortably within its ASX peers. It sits closest to Hastings Resources, which has a market cap of approximately 100 million. But interestingly, our NdPr content is very similar to the Mount Weld deposit. Theirs is 23% NdPr and ours is 22.1% NdPr. So that's a key value driver in the resource, in the economics of developing these resources. Look, we plan to be out there in April, but obviously the COVID-19 pandemic hit the country and all exploration was shut down all across the country. We now plan to be out there in July. We're lining up drilling contractors at the moment, and we have adequate funding to do these programs comfortably. We expect only to spend about $500,000 on this coming program. So July we'll be out there with a 6,000 metre RC program. Well, Rare Earths is a business that has been dominated by the Lynas story over the past 10 years, had a very heavy capex bill, approximately $1 to $1.5 billion, and had a few near-death experiences. And a lot of our competitors, well, our peers in the business, they plan to go all the way to rare earth oxide or an intermediate product like a rare earth carbonate, which all have capex spends in the realm of about $500 million to $1 billion. So very capex heavy projects and off-market caps of 50 to 100 million, very hard to do. What we plan to do differently is just to produce a rare earth rich monazite concentrate and sell that into existing capacity, which at the moment exclusively resides in China. But as the US and Europe come on board, they'll build their own refining capacity, and we plan to sell into that sort of a market. Our capex bill on a simple 250,000 tonne flotation type circuit should be no more than about $30 million. So it's something that a junior can achieve very well. So the answer to that is it should benefit greatly from any geopolitical tensions in the world. As I mentioned earlier, most of the world's current rare earth supply and refining capacity resides in China. So if China really wants to play a trick on the world, it'll just turn off production of rare earths and rare earth permanent magnets. And you've seen President Trump come very strongly about the US building out its own capacity. The EU is in the same mode. And Australia is in a unique position that it can play into any one of those hands. It can export its stuff to China, as it does at the moment, or it can go to the US or Europe. So rising tensions in the world should be good for the rare earth prices. And you saw that in 2011, when prices on the back of a similar sort of geopolitical issue rallied from wherever it was up to $280 a kilo. At the moment, we're at $45 a kilo. So prices can move very quickly when they want to in this space. Yeah, look, in the next little period, I suspect our news flow will be dominated by the drilling in New South Wales. We're looking for updates from our joint venture partner, which will hit our platform as well. The very exciting news going on in New South Wales. We should get some news out of the second and third holes into Mordialloc and Baileys. And hopefully within the coming weeks, we should have some assays from the first hole. And once we're through that, into July, we should be drilling on our own 100% project up at Cummins Range in the rare earth space. So plenty of news flow over the coming months, and yeah, stay tuned.